Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Hey guys, I just launched my new book, The Dating Playbook for Men, a proven 7-step system to go from single to the woman of your dreams on Amazon now. It's currently ranked number 3 in the relationships category on Amazon. Inside this action-packed book, you'll learn how to deepen your masculine polarity to unleash the man within, how to build an awesome social life that women want to be around, how to understand what women want and desire, how to go out and meet women to build a mindset of abundance, how to go from getting her phone number to effortlessly setting up the first date, how to have a perfect first, second, and third date, and how to have happy and loving relationships and be the grounded man that she so badly wants. You can get the book now at knowledgeformen.com/playbook, or simply go to Amazon and search Dating Playbook for Men. You're going to like what you see. I guarantee it. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Dane Maxwell. He's the founder of The Foundation, a tribe of entrepreneurs building the lucrative software companies. And I'm going to keep the intro short because we've got a ton of epic content to go through here. Dane, happy to have you here.
Hey, what's up, Andrew?
Yeah, so I met Dane, met him briefly at a conference put on by Mike Rostowski, who is in the intro of these shows. I think you can hear him many times, but Dane runs a successful business here. Not going to go too deep into his story, but want to just really learn more about the mindset, what it takes to really build a business, how to handle that risk, especially for guys who are working a 9-to-5 job, but they're hitting the books, listening to the podcast, but they so badly want to build something that they're passionate about. And I think Dane is just a perfect example of what we can do here, and a great guy to have on the show to talk about these subjects. So before we dive in with that stuff, Dane, let's just learn a little bit about you by starting off with a success quote of yours or some sort of saying that you've lived by that's helped you on your journey.
Story aside, you can Google my name to find my story told 1 million times on the internet, or so it feels like, probably more like 50. And for those listening, I own 2 7-figure companies, and I started with less than like $125 to my name. So I've started from scratch, all the odds against me, and I came out more than well, I'd say. So just for those listening, just to have like a little context on that. And if you want to hear how I did it, there's plenty of places online to find it. The success quote, I would say, is that all you have to do is care. That's all you have to do. Find someone to care about, and care about them more than you care about your circumstances. Care about them more than you care about your lack of credentials. Care about them more than you do your lack of money or lack of time. And really, if your audience is really mostly men, which you've said it is, it's just a really freeing thing and can be challenging for a lot of men to do. But I think one of the deepest reliefs I could ever hear as a guy is that all you have to do is care. That's how you start businesses. That's how you make a ton of money. That's how you create phenomenal products. That's how you beat any obstacle. It's how you crush competition. It's freedom.
All you have to do is care.
All you have to do is care.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, what led you to learn this? When was the aha moment? Were you doing businesses previously where you did not care, where it was just about conversion and trying to maximize your profits in whatever way possible?
Well, like anything great I've done, I've been doing what I'm now saying unconsciously. I just didn't know I was doing it. So the epiphany came the epiphany came like a month or 2 ago. And it came after 10 years.
Great timing.
10 years and 1,500 students taught, and a shit ton of frustration and struggle. And actually, a shit ton doesn't resonate as authentic. It came after a grueling journey. to be like to come out of a tunnel with like bloodied up, bruised, dirty,
arrows on your back,
arrows on your back, and barely stand. Hey guys, I found out. All you really need to know is that all you need to do is care. And I had a buddy of mine who tracked down Steve Jobs at a conference when he was alive. Evan Pagan, and many of you guys might know him.
Yeah.
Evan was saying that. He said, "Hey Steve, what's your secret over there at Apple?" And Steve said, "I think all you have to do is care." And if you look at the iPhone, you don't build a phenomenal product like that without caring. Because I imagine the iPhone's a big pain in the butt to build. But if you cared deeply enough about it, you could probably figure it out. You could probably hire the right people. Oh, you don't have enough money? Well, quit being a pussy. How much do you care? If you care a lot, you'll figure out a way to do anything. No obstacle will stop you if you care more than the obstacle.
Yeah, this is good. This is a good way to start the show. And thank you for giving a little more intro to yourself and what your journey's been like. You've come out of this with a lot of lessons. You've built 2 7-figure companies. So not everyone can do that. But I'm wondering what you did to yourself to become the type of person that could build 2 7-figure companies, that can take all the failures and challenges, that can have all the arrows in the back and still hop on this show today and continue building your business, still continue to inspire others who are passionate about freedom.
I openly accept being devastated on a daily basis.
Every day you accept that things just aren't going to work out, that failure is inevitable. It's a possibility.
Well, I find it fascinating that I said devastation and you mentioned failure or things aren't going to work out. Devastation, I suppose, could be that. But it's even in the little things. There's a lot of disappointment that happens on the path to entrepreneurship. Things go late. Things don't get done on time. You're not as happy with the product. It takes twice as long and costs twice as much. And you just get those things devastate you. You could launch with a failed product. Do any of those sound good? Yeah, sign me up to entrepreneurship. But the pro is that you have full control of your destiny. And how much pain are you willing to bear in the form of how much responsibility are you willing to take for your life to get there? If you are not willing to take full responsibility for your life, like a man, and bear the fear that comes with it, and be courageous enough to feel the fear, and still be a sensitive man, there's no other way I would ever do it. The rewards and the fruit are. I'm looking out at the ocean right now from my place. I'm watching waves crash down. I have an assistant that cooks all my meals for me. Barack Obama has the same schedule every single day. He wakes up at the same time, puts on the same outfit, eats the same meal, reads the same paper, does the same structure of his day from whatever time he wakes up, probably like 5 a.m. Every time he wakes up, his entire day is planned by others who support him. And the reason that is happening for Barack, now this is phenomenal, because I always felt a little guilty. Like my family, like extended family, oh, you have someone who does your laundry? Aren't you man enough to do laundry yourself? Or you have someone mow your own lawn? It's like, wow, fuck, man, back off. And then it only happened like a year ago that I realized that Barack Obama of course he doesn't do any of that. But the reason that he doesn't do any of that is because the most advanced psychological researchers in the country have found and know that Barack Obama's mind, bandwidth, and space are so valuable that for him to even consider what he might wear for a day would drain his mental capacity and take his thought process away from doing other things for the world. I just love that point.
Yeah. Yep. Saving your best energy, your creative energy for what matters most. Not even the 80-20, it's the 99-1.
Yeah. And I admire Barack in that regard.
Okay. No, I'm interested in like how much you invest in yourself. What I've found is I interview hundreds of people, from people who've sold billion-dollar companies to just amazing relationship dating coaches, just amazing people. And what I find a common thing amongst all of them is a few things, but one of them is that they constantly just invest in themselves. When the other person views that as, whoa, that guy's, spending way too much money on himself, that doesn't make sense, versus the other person who says, wow, what kind of value can I get on the other side of this investment? Can you share your experiences with investing yourself? What does that look like for you?
It's substantial. Quantifiably speaking, right now, it's anywhere between $4,000 to $6,000 a month. And what it looks like right now today is anywhere from 2 to 5 hours a week with a phenomenal coach of some kind who can guide me into the depth of pain that I still hold inside and find the freedom on the other side. That's right now today.
Yeah. And is this one coach, or do you have multiple coaches for, let's say, multiple different aspects of your life, health, wealth, relationships?
Right now I'm working with 2. One for intimate relationship, one for living as potently and powerfully as I can. And by far, the one that I'm working with on the potency and power is by far the greatest man that I've ever worked with. And I can't mention his name here because he wants to be kept private. His schedule is so full, and I had to really twist his arm, but he's a PhD. He's created this phenomenal release, and I hope to make him famous for how good he is. I've been working with him for about 4 months now, 5 months, maybe even 6. It's been incredible. I deeply enjoy people again, like all people.
Good.
Super enjoy it. So that's like how I would say the work, and the focus of the work, Andrew, is right now at this point, for the most part, the focus of the work is upper limit stuff. Feeling like, man, am I really allowed to receive all of this? And what it looks like is, for example, like, man, my life is so easy and good and prosperous and happy. Do I really deserve to be this happy when my parents struggled so much? That would be like an example of an upper limit that I've felt into and released. And the other thing that I want to say on this topic is that it's actually the most significant thing that you can invest in. Because like Eben says, I think I heard him say, all business problems are personal problems. And interesting that he said all, right? And the other thing that's super, super important that anyone listening hears is that your self-worth is not even on the table. The concept of worth isn't actually even a real thing. It's created out of a sense of lower self-esteem. It's created out of a world that constructs around conditional love. And where conditional love exists, worth exists. And so we do live in a world placed with conditions on us. But the reality is, with the context of unconditional love, there is no such thing as worth. I wonder if, God even understands the concept of worth. Like, worth, what do you mean? You're unconditionally loved. There's no bar for you. So because your worth isn't in question, it's the greatest relief I can tell you, since your worth is not in question. The only reason that you would ever want to start a business now, or the only reason that you could ever want to do anything now, is simply, and the whole purpose of life is just simply to enjoy it. And so whatever you're about to do today or tomorrow, I hope the primary reason that you're about to do it is because you deeply, deeply enjoy it, and not to prove anything. Because the other great thing I've found and relief I can find is like most of the desires that you have, like to do things in the world, you'll generally have that same desire once the self-worth issue has been sorted. You just actually do it from a really relaxed, enjoyable place. Like the struggle doesn't exist because your self-esteem and self-worth aren't on the line. And so I don't struggle with self-worth issues hardly at all anymore. They might come up from time to time, but then when I do, I just feel into them and past them. So the nice thing about this is that, there are things that like, all right, well, let's just change your thoughts. Change your thoughts. All right, you just say to yourself, I am worthy. Well, good luck with that. You don't change your thoughts to change how you feel. When you actually understand the way that human body works, your thoughts actually come from deeply repressed emotions. And when you rip down to the bottom of the emotion and you deplete it because you've simply just felt it, the thoughts vanish with it. So I don't have thoughts in my head about like, gosh, am I worthy? Or like, do I fit in here? Like, oh shit, man, what do I have to do to like earn love? Like those things are, they don't exist in my day-to-day very hardly at all. They might come in from time to time. But yeah, that's a very important topic.
Yeah, I can see that it's a big topic, and wanted to point out, you said, you invest in yourself a lot. You spend thousands of dollars on yourself, which I admire. Now, what would you say to someone who's, it's kind of, as men, you feel like, I'm self-reliant. I can do this on my own. I can figure this out. What would you say to this man when it comes an option to invest in himself?
We're saying this to the poor fellow who believes 100% in complete self-reliance. Is that who we're talking to right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I do believe in being self-reliant, but
yeah,
but you're self-reliant because you're leveraging resources around you. Like, I believe you should be self-reliant, but I feel like you can take it overboard and really just think that, you've got it all under control and you can solve all of your own problems.
This is an awesome topic. The concept of self-reliance, Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote about it.
Yeah.
It's clearly highly important.
Mm-hmm.
And, to me, I'm like, what, right now, fuck that. I have needs and I am reliant on others. And, I've got a good friend sitting next to me who I could be in tears about and say, you know what, Ryan, I really need you to be my friend. You are my happiness. Friends are my happiness. And so, like, in terms of being completely self-reliant, it's like, wow. I would say to you, what fear might you have of opening your heart to someone else and letting them know that you need help? Because I think one of the greatest things you could do as a man is to open your heart and say, you know what, you guys, I'm really scared right now and I need a lot of help. And you know what else? I would really like someone's hand to hold. And if you can find that tender place in your heart, not only will you be far happier, because happiness is only real when shared. Just like that dude said in that movie, Into the Wilderness movie. Into the Wild.
Into the Wild, yeah, Emil Hirsch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say that confidence doesn't come from just accomplishments. I can tell you that confidence for me actually didn't come from any of my accomplishments. It was like a bravado confidence. It was like, I'm confident because of some external circumstance. What? Fuck that. So you take the external circumstance away, where's the confidence? Where's true confidence come from? True confidence comes from community. True confidence comes from being vulnerable in community. And that vulnerability is to be like what I would to define a great man is a man who could sit on stage who's leading a movement and maybe buckle down in tears and say, you know what, guys, I'm really afraid because I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best. And that's how I feel. I don't know what I'm doing. Kind of do. Doing my best. And I believe that if every man in the world showed up the way that I did, the world would be healed in less than a week. The entire world. If every man showed up as open-hearted, as vulnerable about their shit, wore whatever self-worth issue they have on their sleeve at the moment, talked about their tender, sensitive feelings, the entire world would be healed less than a week. Because I can be a man with 2 7-figure companies and go up on stage and tell you, you know what, guys, right now I just feel really scared, and all I want is someone's hand to hold. And you know what else I want? All I really want are friends. So when you ask the question about someone about coaches, you're like, well, what do you say about someone who wants to be completely self-reliant? I would just tell you that your proudness will be your doom.
Yeah. Even ego in there.
Could be. I mean, ego can be pretty healthy. It's like, I feel like if you're egotistical but you're aware of it, like that's pretty cool. Like if you're like, you know what, this is my ego right now, and I'm a fucking badass. Like that's cool with me. Like I'll say that right now. I feel like a total fucking badass because I know that I am. And shit, that's my ego. And shit, it feels good. And hey, I'm aware of my ego. So as long as I'm like aware of it, that it's my ego, cool. Like celebrate it. Otherwise, there's just like this false humility shit going on, where it's like, your ego's in there, but you're not really acknowledging the voice of it.
How do you balance the level of vulnerability and authenticity with coming off just too much? I'm not saying you are right now. This is a general thing. It's like, I'm not like just calling it like, hey, how would you? No. What I'm saying here is, when someone's new to authenticity, it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm free to be me. Like I'm free to have full self-expression, which I admire and I love practicing. But when someone just enters this, they can take it too far, where they're just saying like everything that they want to say, and it can just throw people off. It can really damage some relationships. Am I making this clear? Maybe I'm just, I don't have a script for this interview. I'm just flowing with you.
It's phenomenal, Andrew. I'm really enjoying your company. Can you just ask the question one more time, like in a 1 or 2 sentence question?
How do you balance being vulnerable, being real, without being an asshole?
How do you balance being vulnerable and being real without being an asshole? I think if you are being vulnerable and real, there's no chance that you could ever be an asshole. Are you sure that's your question? Like, what are you really wanting to deeply know?
When someone unlocks the vulnerability, when they break that lock, there's like a flow of emotions that can come through where they just want to say everything on their chest. It could be in a relationship. It could be with their family. And if you say too much, maybe it can come off as being an asshole.
I've never experienced that. Well, here, this is vulnerability. I can actually feel I'm on the edge of it right now.
Okay.
All right, so I'm in the process of starting to see this girl.
Okay.
And she is beyond amazing. And I have this sadness emerging right now, and I'm just absolutely terrified that, you know what, I don't know if I could actually ever find a woman to truly love me. And I'm scared because I just don't know if that'll happen. And see, that would be me sharing vulnerably, and that's vulnerability. I don't see where the asshole is.
In that's good. But let's say you're with her and you guys just met, and obviously being authentic with feelings with an attractive woman, you could just look at her and just say, God damn, right now, I want to fuck the shit out of you. That could be a thought that you have in your head. That would be being vulnerable. That would be authentic to how you feel. But that would obviously, maybe if you're dating already, that would actually, you'd get some results there. But, on your first date, that level of vulnerability could just, you could be seen as an asshole. That's what I'm talking about, is like taking it too far, like holding it in, when to hold it in, and when to release. Having that fine balance.
Yeah. I don't know. That's pretty funny. Like, that's a pretty funny thing. Like, I want to fuck the shit out of you right now. That doesn't occur to me as vulnerable at all.
Authentic. If it's what you're thinking and feeling, to me that's authentic. Even though that's what I'm saying. It comes off as pretty harsh. That's obviously extreme.
Okay, I know the answer.
Okay.
You actually have to stay connected with the person while you say that. If you truly connect to that woman, you'll know if that is a safe thing to share. You know, if you're like completely disconnected from the woman, you know, like, and you just say that, she could fucking feel hit over the head with a baseball bat. You know, like, but if you're like really feeling into her and she's looking at you, and then like, you know, maybe you kind of like wince your eyes or grind your teeth at her, and you like kind of just lean into that edge, and then you maybe like grab her hand or her forearm, you squeeze a little as you pull her in, and you notice that you're starting to like drop into a connection with her, and then you just kind of rip her into you, and then you have your arms around her, and you're like, you know what, I just want to fuck the shit out of you right now. Now, I don't see how you could really fail when you're really truly connected to the woman. Yeah. So I would just say, if you can feel and connected to the other person, you'll be deeply guided in how to share that. The hilarious thing is that I've experienced in the past is like, you know, if a girlfriend in the past would be telling me, oh, blah, 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 this is what happened today, and da-da-da-da-da, and I'll be like, man, I want to fuck the shit out of you right now. And she'll be like, what the hell, you asshole? Like, are you even listening to me? I'm like, well, fuck, no, I wasn't connected to the person.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
In order to connect to a person, first, you have to be deeply connected to yourself. In order to be deeply connected to yourself, you have got to resolve the fear and the nervousness, anxiety, and anything that might be standing in the way of you actually feeling deeply connected with yourself. Because if you're around a woman and your fear is coming up, and then you're like ejecting from your body because your body does not know how to stay in connection with yourself, it can be very challenging to be in rapport with a woman. In which, in that case, you just, you know, depending on the quality of woman you're with, generally, like, most women would be pretty touched if you are hanging out with them on a one-on-one setting, and like you just say, hey, you know what I'm noticing? Like, it's hard for me to be in my body right now because I just feel a lot of fear being around you, and I think it's because I don't really know if I'm actually worth your time.
Yeah.
Like most women will. Yeah. That's what you would do if you're not even like connected with yourself.
Yeah, it's saying how, you know, going into your body and sharing that.
I've been on a date with a woman before where like I'd have tears start to emerge in my eyes as I was sharing with her. And then like, because I was connected with her, I could tell it totally freaked her out. I was like, who's this fucking guy crying on a first fucking date with me? You know, she's like, don't do that. That makes me really uncomfortable. I was like, okay, this girl's got some shit around crying. So I totally just like, I'm leaning into her and I feel that, and I back off because I'm staying connected with her the whole time. And so like there's no real damage done because the connection is there. And dude, staying in connection with people is probably the greatest challenge for me. Like I had this guy, he was offering me this thing, and I told him no. And instead of him being like, all right, cool, you don't want it, and walked away, he stayed in relationship with me around the no. He's like, oh, really? No. What's it like for you to say no? You know, and then I'd be like, well, I'm annoyed because I'm having to tell you no twice. He's like, oh, so you're like annoyed now. So are you sure you don't want it? And it was hilarious. But he was in connection with me the whole time. And pretty soon it was never about the thing being offered. He just stayed in connection with me the entire time. And I ended up going back and forth on my decision like 6 times. It was hilarious. Like, and I get this all the time. You know, I get people that ask me for stuff all the time. Right, so like, someone asked me for something like, hey, Dane, will you be my mentor? Or, hey, you know, the most recent one was a guy on Facebook was asking me, he's like, hey, Dane, will you post this on your wall for me? and it was a thing about like motorcycles. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it has nothing to do. Why would I ever post this?
Yeah.
And so how do I stay in connection with him versus like being totally rejection of him? So what happens is I connect to him as best I can. And then I say, you know, this doesn't seem to have any real use to me to share, but I'm so grateful that you asked. Thank you. versus just like, I'm not going to do that. And so like, I really, really like this idea of like, how much can you stay in connection with someone? And I think this is a very, very amazing skill, a defining skill of a great man, which makes you an incredibly successful person if you're able to do this, because it all comes back down to caring.
I like how you keep talking. You've mentioned it a few times, but a great man. And I want to see or look into the connection between stepping into what you believe is a great man and how this impacts the rest of your life, how this impacts your business, how this impacts your relationships with others and intimate relationships.
So what a great man is first, and then how to step into it.
And how that impacts other aspects of your life. Versus, let's say, going straight into building a business, or it's like working on yourself. And when you become the right person, I believe you can start getting the right type of results that you want in your life.
Well, I want to start with like what's important to me about being a great man.
Yeah.
And being a great man to me is everything. It's everything. It's all I've ever wanted to do is just to feel good about being me. And I do. I feel wonderful about being me because I have massive amounts of integrity and I treat women incredibly well. And I'm not driven anymore by unconscious drives to earn women's love. Maybe a little, but not hardly in like the cheesy ways I used to do it. Playing games with 3 or 4 girls at once, wanting wanting 3 or 4 women's attention on me at all times because I just need that to distract myself from my own discomfort with being with myself. So I think a great man is someone who has total integrity and understands a woman's heart better than a woman even really understands her own. And you understand like a woman's heart. It's incredible, and I think you kind of understand the entire world when you understand a woman's heart. I think how a man treats a woman says everything about his character. You know, you're pursuing a woman. Do you really want to get to know her? As soon as you fuck her, you're uninterested in will you sit with a woman for an hour and hold space for her feelings to talk about the problems that she's having in her life? Or would that bore you? And so like if you're just like poking and prodding a few women for pleasure without real consideration of their heart, it's probably the way that you're building businesses too, kind of poking and prodding around the world for a little business pleasure here and there, but not being really considerate of how your connection to the whole is or isn't serving humanity. So I'd say that a great man is a man who has utmost integrity and understands a woman's heart better than she understands her own, which means that if you're in bed with a woman and she's told you like a few hours ago that she really doesn't want to have sex with you, and then in the heat of the moment she has sex with you or she wants to, that you don't do it. Because the next day she will regret it. She always has. Always. In every case that I've been in. She may not even really want to say it, but she will experience some shame, likely. She will experience some doubt. She will experience a decreased amount of intimacy with herself because she didn't honor her word, because the flesh can be so tempting in the moment and override what you really deeply want. And if you can get to that place where you care about women so deeply and the way that you treat women is in the utmost respect and care for their heart, I feel like you've arrived. So I would say, well, how do you get there? Well, it's a bitch. If you're like, if you're currently fucking around, or you know if you're out of integrity with women. And even like the smartest men I know, like one of the smartest men that I know had like the greatest script ever to sleep with unlimited amounts of women. He would sit down with women and he would say, all right, I'm like at a point in my life where I'm having limited, abundant sexual experiences, and I'm not really looking to restrict myself to one. And I'd really enjoy having a sexual exchange with you, but only if you feel safe with me and feel safe knowing that, I'm still open to other experiences with other people. It's even more eloquent than that, right? But like, I wanted to fucking sleep with the dude when he told me.
Okay.
And what happened was he started sleeping with all these women, and then it just started hurting their hearts. And then like he'd show up to parties and there'd be like 10 women there who he slept with all of, and they all hated him. Even though he gave the script and even though they felt safe in that moment. So I think that this is obviously it's a pretty important point to me, but it extends beyond that. Like if you want to have like the most beautiful women on the planet, the ones that are like the mecca of presence and love, you have to show up as a man who doesn't exchange sexual energy with every other girl that he sees, just baiting for like, just trying to find a fish that will bite. So when you have integrity as a man, you are fully whole yourself. You feel worthy all by yourself. Then your whole drive to do life is from a place of enjoyment. So why would you reach out to talk to a woman? To enjoy her. So now you're not like, oh God, I'm afraid of this girl, but if I get her in bed, or I'm afraid of this girl, but if I get her to go on a date with me. No, it's like, what would I enjoy doing today? That kind of starts to become your unconscious question. So I think that would probably be how you would move into it, is by beginning to feel completely worthy for all by yourself, and then doing things purely for the sake of enjoyment. And then if you're like me, I think if you're really honest with yourself, you probably don't actually want to sleep with a lot of women. Like, if you do, my opinion is that you're fucking settling for counterfeit connections. And once you taste the real thing of like unconditional love with a real woman, and you let that love build over time before you are intimate with her, you will taste an intimacy so sweet that you will never want to settle for these one night flings that just fill a soul with emptiness, in my experience. So I think if you're really honest with yourself, you're like, you know what? I actually don't really want to sleep with women. I actually just want to enjoy their company. And then maybe sex emerges from that. But hopefully what I want you to know is that if you're engaging sexually with a woman without being fully in love with her in your heart, it's counterfeit compared to the real thing. So if you're okay with counterfeit for a while, and sometimes a lot of guys are, just know that you're like, you know what? There's no judgment from me here if you are doing the counterfeit connection. The concern I have is just wanting you to know that there's a whole other world there for you. And that shows up, it translates directly into business, because now the way that you treat a woman is how you treat your business, and it's how you treat others. They're absolutely directly related. It's phenomenally fascinating.
So this kind of stems back to your opening quote, all you have to do is care. Caring about the woman and her heart, and in business, really caring about the client, really caring about their experience and their future and what they're going to gain from working with you.
Yeah, by the way, you get lots of girls if you do this.
Slide in.
Well, that's an interesting innuendo. I think that especially the most gorgeous women, they are getting men that are unconsciously projecting their sexual energetic exchange on them, and it's dirty to them. It's disgusting. And if you want to like get insanely gorgeous women, stop running sexual energy and start caring about them. They'll feel the care and purity of your heart, and they'll be like, who is this man who's like not trying to like run energy with me? Because as soon as you exchange that, women are like unconsciously setting context for how they should relate. So they don't even know it, but they're with the guy, and if they unconsciously pick up any sexual energy, that switches them into a different state. Versus like if you walk up to a woman and you have a total state of like just caring for them, you might just have complete curiosity about them. And then from that place of caring, you might ask the woman, you'd be like, hey, like, so what are the kinds of things that you've been thinking about these days? Or like, what are the most present things that you're going through in your life right now? And you might not drop in right there, but whatever your intention for caring is, you'll find like a much deeper intimacy. It's pretty badass.
Yeah.
And then you take that into business. You absolutely crush, because now you're not driven by an unconscious need. So the way it works with probably intimacy, I'm guessing, is, your unconscious desire to feel loved. You don't address it wholeheartedly, so it sneaks out all the sides in unauthentic ways that you don't end up getting what you want in the end anyway. You also have in business, if you're unconsciously associating your business with your worth in some way, then it all comes out the sides. I really feel like if you can just kind of step back and ask yourself, if I cared right now, what would I do? How much do I care? You can really just light up the world.
Mm. You seem to really be living in alignment to what you value, is what I'm picking up from you.
I'm doing my best. It's hard.
Yeah.
I caught a self-worth issue come up the other day. I watching a video of myself, and I'm like, damn, I look pretty good looking on this video to myself. And like, wow, I seem pretty badass here. And then I noticed that my self-worth was increasing because of this video, and I was like, oh shit, fuck, my self-worth is attached to something I did again. And so like I sit in that, and I can actually feel the sadness of it, because I don't want my worth to be attached to anything that I do. I want my worth to be attached to who I am. And that's where, just letting you guys know that it's humbling.
In women, when you're in alignment to what you value, I feel like it helps you identify the type of women that you want. It also help you identify inside the relationship if this is something that's going to work in the long run. And in business, I think it just removes all, because there's so, like you said, you get people messaging you this and that. You probably get opportunities, affiliate, joint venture, all kinds of stuff like, oh, let's do this. But Gary Keller is the one thing, when you know what you value, you can say no to all this other stuff and really just focus on what really matters, what really matters to you. And I think in that space, you can absolutely thrive.
Feels good to hear. I like it.
Yeah.
I like when you laugh too. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we talked about some really good topics, going into kind of freedom and money, relationships, alignment with yourself, being a great man, being vulnerable. Touched on a lot of topics here. Even if you have to summarize some of your main points, which is good. Repetition is the mother of learning all skill. What would you say is your philosophy on life and success?
Well, I guess, I don't know. What comes up to me is like, if you're listening to this, I love you deeply. I don't need to know anything about you to love you. And if you ask, how could this guy ever love me? You're living in a place of conditional love, because you're like, he has to know something about me in order to love me first. That's conditional love. And I want you to know, if you're listening to this, I unconditionally love you. And I could say, because you're having a desire to improve your life. But truly, it's for really, I don't think it's for any, I think it might actually be for a reason. It might be kind of conditional. Like the love I have for you is the love you have for yourself. The love, enough love to listen to stuff like this. And that you're a remarkable man as you are right now. And if you don't feel that way, it's just because you were around other people that couldn't see it because they were too wrapped up with their own fears to be able to reflect that to you. And if you can be around enough men for a long enough time where you're vulnerable for a consistent period of time, that can continue to tell you that you're a remarkable man while you're being vulnerable, it can update your whole nervous system. And I want you to know that you've been awesome all along. You've been remarkable all along. Your worth was never in question. You've always been more than enough. Always. Never has any of those things been in question. You've just been surrounded by people who are caught up in their fear, who were reflecting their fear back at you, when the reality of the matter is, it was never in question. And when you realize that, you get to really live life to enjoy it.
Very powerful, Dane. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day when you're running these businesses. You got a lot going on. And I know you've got some exciting stuff going on at the foundation. What's exciting you today? And go ahead and plug yourself for anything that you'd like to share with the audience on how they can follow up and join your work.
Well, it's very simple. If you want to be a successful creator of products people want and profit massively and make a ton of money and never have to work again because you make so much money, it can happen in as little as 4 years if you work really hard instead of 40 like you're taught. Come to thefoundation.com and take our free course to learn how to become a successful creator despite any circumstance you have. It's at thefoundation.com.
All right, Dane, thank you so much for sharing your lessons here with my community. It's been very impactful. It's a different kind of show, and I think we just dove in full force. So, my hat's off to you.
Thanks, Andrew. Take care, man.
All right, take care, Dane. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and 1 million downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we've just started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a review in iTunes. It really helps to grow the podcast. Guys, 2015 is the official year of living with purpose, where every day you do only the things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. Check out kfmfree.com to get free tools I've created to help you crush life. Again, that's